All right, this is a update to the Dink Blender template by Drone 1400. This is version 1.2. So what's changed in this? Well, let's just have a quick zoom in here. This model rotator control, which lets you look at whatever you've brought in, and this is the RDI model that comes with the file. I'm just going to hit spacebar, and there he is. He's doing an idle animation. He also comes with a push animation, but this thing lets me have a look, and I'm just going to hit 0 to toggle camera view, middle mouse to scroll in so I can see him up close, hit the spacebar. There he is. That's his animation 1. That's what it's going to look like in direction 1, direction 4, 7, 8, 9, 6, zoom out so you can see this properly, 3, 2, so yes, pretty nifty. I really like that. Let's just zoom in again. The other things that have changed are over here with the naming. I believe this is now been updated so you can toggle between two formats. There is the standard Dink format, which is -01 for frame 1, and then you've got down here a prefix, so you can change that to, well, this time we could call it RDI if we wanted to render him out. So that's just a template. This of course stays the same. The other change is this area here where you can change the size of the sprite, which is really the size of the window. So I'm just going to hit stop the animation for a second, and let's hit F12 to bring a render, and that is 110 by 110, which is kind of useful as a size for Dink. But if you want to check it out yourself, just resize the window. And if you've got a 3-button mouse, especially middle mouse with a scroll, which is very handy for Blender, you just use that to have a look up and down. Anyway, let's just stay zoomed out for now. Let's jump over to the compositing mode, see what's changed there. Enable backdrop if you haven't got it clicked up there. Let me just zoom in on that. So yes, make sure that that's labeled, and you will have I'm moving middle mouse to move the nodes around. If I use the scroll button, you can see, wow, yeah, it's a complicated node tree which you don't really need to know anything about. You don't need to fiddle with anything per se. About the only thing you may want to fiddle with is this new addition here. Let me zoom in if I haven't already, which is this translate node, which lets you, if you click and hold with your left mouse button, you can move your rendered image of your model up and down, left and right. I find that it's best to be in whole numbers here to make sure that it sits well. So -20 as a nice round number. Let's make this one 36 instead of 36.8. And yep, so no jagged lines, and we have the standard blink shadow. And that's the other thing that has changed. Let's go back to zoom. Is down here you can toggle on rendered normal shadow, which is just what the Dink HD engine now shows. That's my preferred thing. So if that's not dark enough, and there it doesn't look quite dark, you can change this value here. So let's go to 1.4 and see what happens. Look, bang, straight away it updates, and I find that really handy. So yes, down here you've still got in the Dink panel all the actions, and you can reload the action list. Let's go and toggle this one by clicking over this side and reload, and let us go back to our layout view, and there he is. He's now pushing. So I don't have to go into the animation mode at all to find out about that. All I had to do was select that one down there and reload, and bang, now I can see him. So I'm just going to go zoom in on this so you can see what he is up close. Go to direction 4, direction 7, direction 8, 9, 6, 3, 2. Very handy. Now if you're not getting this pop-up here, which is a sidebar tool, that's just because you probably need to hit the N key like I did there. So that's all great. I just really love all of that. And if you don't want to render in all 8 directions, let's say you are doing the idle, let's just do that, then it'll only render in 2, 4, 8 and 6, the standard south, west, northeast directions of Dink. Anyway, and it updates this whole field down here. So these are all great easy additions. Of course, you can change to BMP or PNG depending on what you want to use. I'm doing PNG for all the new graphics I'm doing at the moment. Zoom back out. So the other thing, of course, is bringing in, hey, your own model. I've gone into modeling mode just because it's one big screen. I'm in edit mode. Let's make sure we've got our zoom. So go into object mode. And so if you're going to bring in your own model, the model rotator, which is what I've just clicked on over here, that is what spins the model around when you render. So your model that you bring in, this is the RDI one, needs to be, there it is there, needs to be the parent, or I mean the child of the motor rotator object for the whole thing to work. Okay, so what I recommend if you are going to bring something in is be in top view, which is number 7, so you're looking down the z-axis so you can see the x and the y, and also be facing in direction 2. So let me jump back and just make sure I'm facing direction 2, which I am. Face this way. So I'm going to bring in by import an FBX file. Let's just make sure we're zoomed in here. Oops. So yes, file, import FBX, and I'm going to downloads. I'm going to bring in the walking that I've just downloaded from Mixamo, which is the ogre, and there he is there. He's pretty impressive. He's huge though. Let's turn on some material viewport shading so I can see what he looks like. That's impressive. Now I can still see the RDI underneath, so we need to turn him off and turn him off from render, which is what that one does there. And now he's no longer there. So now I'm going to hit 0 to have a look, and ooh, he's big. He's so big. He's just occupying most of the screen. I'm going to hit F12 just so we can see that. Yep, he's ginormous. And if I have a look in compositing, yes, he's all cut off. So how do we fix that? Well, let's go back to the layout so we can see the camera and everything else and get all of these things. First we've got to do is change the, let me just zoom in here, is change the sprite orthographic scale, which is really the camera. So the higher that is, the more zoomed out we are. So 2's not bad. 3, yeah, 3's not bad, but if I make sure I'm zoomed out, and if I toggle him around, he's not linked. Let's go back to 2. That's what we didn't do. So I'm just going to jump back into modeling, get out of edit mode, go into object mode, select the armature. Let's just make sure we're zooming. So I've selected the armature. I'm going to hit 1 so I'm looking at this from the front. So I have the armature up there. That is the model that I brought in. And I am going to shift select the model rotator and then Control P and make it apparent to the model rotator key transform, and I'm still in object mode, which is great. I mean, I really love this model. I mean, look at that. You got ropes here. You'd have to animate these yourself. I don't think Mixamo's animation includes that because it's a standard walk cycle that applies across all their models. But anyway, sorry, getting ahead of myself. Jump back to this, and we're still in object mode. So let's zoom out. Now let's see if that toggles around. Yes, it does. Look, 1, 4, 7, 8. There he spins, but I can see if we zoom in there, I can see that he's outside of the top of that. So rather than reposition the rotator, the model, or screw up the scripts that way, what I'm going to do is change this, and I'm going to make this 200 in X and 200 in Y. Oops, no, that's not right. Sorry, yeah, do that, and then also change this to about 4. And now hit F12 and do a render. and just zoom that back out so I'm seeing the edges of the frame, and that's got them all in frame at position 8. Let's have a look at compositing. Yeah, he's looking like a nice size. I'm just gonna change the X position, sorry, the Y position. I'm just gonna drop him down a bit so he's right next to, let's make him like 20 probably. See if that puts him next to Dink. Yeah, it does. And make it -10. Get him right close. So yeah, that's a decent sized monster to have a go at bashing Dink into smithereens. Back to the layout. Let's just quickly toggle. 9's good, 6 is good, 3's good, 2's of course good, 1, 4, 7. They're all good. Okay, 2. So now I'm going to hit reload action, and that, if you can see it, is the name of the action that's come in. Now, if you want to change that name, let's say you don't, because I think when you render out it, it creates a folder based on what the name of these actions are. Toggle up into animation mode and make sure, I'm going to hit 3 to go to 3 to side view, and make sure you got the armature selected, and come to the dope sheet and go down to action editor, and there's the name of the action. So I'm going to change that to Ogre Walk, like that. Being reload action list, and that's what we're going to do. Select that one, disable idle, because that's for the model that we've now hidden. Come back to the layout view. So reload action list, good, we got this. Hit spacebar and he's walking. Now he's come down with a 35 frame walk cycle, which is pretty huge basically. So yeah, he's now doing his thing, and I can see him rotating around to make sure that his model doesn't actually leave frame as it does the action, like the antlers don't get to the top. This is really cool. So bang, hit that. Of course, this is where you would save it as something else before you go and hit the render Dink sprites, and that is off and racing. Now if you want to see it, I think if you go to the window, my computer's really slow, it's not going to like this. I know that on a faster computer this would work. If you went to window and toggle the console, you'd be able to see that this is actually still doing stuff. And if I go down here and go to, I think, Dink renders on my C drive, was these Ogre Walk? That's the one I'm doing today. So it's doing it slowly, bit by bit. You can see them being added. And if we have a look, let's just make him image to window and Shift L to lock that view. So yeah, he's doing his thing. I mean, he's still a bit blurry or whatever for me, and that's the other thing. You can change the number of samples, but if I was to really use this, I'd be animating the little skull to move as he walks, because at the moment I think it's just hanging down there, and there'd be a little bit of sway. Anyway, that is pretty cool, but as I said, my computer at the moment is struggling. It's not responding as such. No, it's going to go white screen, but it is actually still rendering. I'm just going to let it sit there and toggle through all of this, and then we will be done. Now, whether I'd use these or not, and how to bring them into Dink, well, you've got to, go change the dink.ini file, and then you've got to go in and set the depth dot and the hard box via Q mode in something like WinDink Edit Drone Plus. This is the documentation that comes with it, which is, I thought, really cool and clear, explaining how everything works, what you do and don't do. So that's an HTML file that comes down in a folder with the download. Definitely worth a read. Even runs through bringing in the custom model, how to do it. So read that first. Of course, changelog, dev notes. Now, if you really want to understand about the nodes, Drone 1400 goes in detail about that. I haven't read that because I don't really understand nodes beyond a basic level myself, but it's all there. It even explains the script and how it works if you wanted to change it, use it, update it, I guess. The one thing, I guess, where are we? It's not letting me toggle back to any of these. No, because it's frozen. The lighting. You may not like the way the scene and the model is lit, and that's okay. You know, that's just something that you'd have to play with Blender a lot more to change if you know how to add lights, etc., and all that sort of thing. You can go and influence that, but you know, I mean, I can see what it is. You can see what the model's doing, so it's kind of like cool. 1, 2, got 3. Yeah, we're not got no beyond that, but you know, you want a character, Dink Blender Template absolutely rocks.